All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I wanted to really address the whole Mekhi Becton trade idea, which I keep seeing a lot of, and it's actually been suggested multiple times by multiple reporters here. And this is something that, a lot of people have a lot of strong feelings about. There's a big group of fans that want to keep Mekhi Becton in-house with valid points. There's a lot of people that want to trade Mekhi with valid points. So we're going to get into all of it, but I first wanted to go over some of the quotes by Connor Hughes here, because he's suggesting that in his opinion, he's thinking Mekhi Becton will be on a new team by the start of this year. And we've also actually seen Rich Cimini hint at this as well. But Connor Hughes goes on to say last week on July 24th that the concern with Becton right now is that he just doesn't appear to be getting a ton of opportunities at the starting job. The Jets said that this is an open competition, but even without Dwayne Brown, who's absent this week, for personal reasons, Becton is exclusively working with Zach Wilson. You wonder if Becton isn't starting if the Jets look to trade him before the regular season. That's where this seems headed. That would leave Max Mitchell and Dwayne Brown as your starters, with Billy Turner quickly turning into a coach's favorite as the swing backup tackle. Becton is undeniably the Jets' most physically gifted tackle. That's what makes that reality so hard to believe. For some reason, he's never been able to endear himself to this coaching staff, which could lead to his departure. And then on August 1st, he said that Becton has worked exclusively at left tackle in camp, but he said he's open to the right side. He just wants to be on the field starting. If not starting, Becton said he hasn't thought about asking for a trade. We'll see what happens, in quotations. Mekhi will start his first game since the 2021 opener and play 20 to 25 snaps in regards to the Hall of Fame game. I'm not so sure the Jets are really considering Becton for the starting spot on their offensive line as much as they're concerned trying to get him back to being able to stay on the field. In my opinion, I still think Becton is on someone else's roster week one. The Jets seem to really like Dwayne Brown and Max Mitchell at tackle with Turner as swing. They're not cutting Carter Warren, so will they really keep 5 offensive tackles? So I know it's a lot to take in, right? And obviously during the Hall of Fame game, he appeared in 7 offensive snaps, had to come off the field, not because he was hurt or anything like that, had a re-aggravation. In his words, the knee, it was more of a precautionary measure. Supposedly it was a turf issue. Felt like, hey, maybe this could lead to something bad if I, continue to roll on it. So he just decided, hey, you know what? Let me inform the coaches, and ended up not playing that much. And as we all know, it's not like he had to go get looked at by doctors. He was hanging out on the field. In fact, he actually came back on the field for some special team snaps, which is all well and good, right? That's the positive here. But I will say this. For Becton to miss the 2 seasons, for him to miss, all these different games, all these different practices, all these different just quality snaps, all of these reps in, throughout 2 years, pretty much 2 full seasons. And you can even make an argument, an off season as well. Like, there's just so much time missed because of lower body injuries. I think right now, if Dwayne Brown comes back and he wins the starting left tackle job, and Mekhi Becton, is like, the Jets are looking at Mekhi playing on the right side, and now all of a sudden it's a competition between Max Mitchell and Billy Turner and pretty much essentially everybody else, Carter Warren. So big picture, we're looking at Mekhi, obviously former first round pick. He was fantastic in college, fantastic his rookie season. There is a lot to like when you're thinking about high upside, ceiling, things of that nature. But there's a lot of red flags with the injuries, with the injury risk moving forward, and also the question marks of, will he look like the same player once he is fully 100%? Because again, with the amount of time missed, I mean, we see it all the time. Somebody goes down with an injury, there's a long rehab process in place, and then they finally get back on the field, but they just don't look like the same player. And it's really, really unfortunate. So although there's some things to like, there are some drawbacks here. So in regards to keeping him, I think, and as Connor Hughes pointed out, he actually asked the question, will the Jets really keep 5 offensive tackles? For me personally, I think the answer should be yes. Whether that's Mekhi or somebody else, I want tackle depth. Wide receiver, I feel good about. Running back, I feel good about. On the inside, if Laken Tomlinson starts playing better this season, I feel solid with AVT McGovern and Laken at left guard. Tight ends, I feel solid. Quarterback, I feel great, obviously, with Aaron Rodgers. Tackle is the position where it's like, okay, at surface level, Dwayne Brown at left, and then probably Max Mitchell at right, and then Billy Turner as the swing guy. That's fine, but I mean, what has been one of the biggest problems that the Jets have had in recent years? Overall team depth, but offensive line depth, right? Every single season, guys are getting hurt. And again, it sucks. It's unfortunate. I wish the Jets were not in this position, but it's just the reality. In a season with so much riding on it, I want to make sure that, hey, if Dwayne Brown comes back and isn't feeling 100%, or something happens to Max or Billy Turner, and now all of a sudden, midway through the season, Hackett has to drop these game plans to make sure that we're always getting help off the edge, whether it's, it's an extra tight end there to help out the thin tackle position, or we're constantly having to draw plays away, right, where Rodgers is maybe rolling out to the opposite direction, running backs chipping, things like that. I think once you enter that territory, you're playing a dangerous game. Of course, the Jets don't really have control over that, whether they're going to be in that position or not. But what they can do is better prepare themselves now, before the season kicks off, while there's still free agents out there, before guys have been waived, right? Maybe there's some trade rumors, and I have a separate video that I want to upload here probably tomorrow. If not, it's probably already up, talking about 3 specific offensive linemen that could realistically be moved that the Jets could go out and acquire. It was the main reason here why Aaron Rodgers took the $35 million guaranteed pay cut. It's to make sure that, hey, we're all hands on deck here. We're good to go. In the event that something happens, something negative happens, an injury, what have you, we're okay. It's not the end of the world here. So in regards to Hughes asking the question about 5 offensive tackles, I think for me, the answer is yes. I mean, just to quickly reference last season, think about all the tackles that the Jets went through in all the injuries. I mean, we had most of these players: Max Mitchell, Mekhi Becton, Dwayne Brown, Cedric Ogbuehi at one point, Mike Remmers. AVT ended up having to move over to left tackle and looked really solid actually doing it. But, if we're in the position where we're swapping, we're changing guys' position on the offensive line, and it's like a different starting unit on a week-to-week basis, and we're trying to make a deep playoff push, it's like, yeah, I want some more security there. So that's my argument in favor of potentially keeping Becton on the roster, or, at the very least, loading this position up five deep at tackle. Now, in regards to trading him, it's like, again, those questions rear their head, right? Will he look like the same player? Will he get hurt again? Obviously, he has missed some time in practice because of the knee. It does seem like, although Mekhi's open to playing on both sides, the Jets are rolling with him at left tackle. And there has been some injury concerns that if Becton does line up on the right side, it might stress his lower body more, which is, a problem in and of itself. So I think in the event that the Jets trade Becton and he's on a new team right by the start of the regular season, I think a couple things have to happen. Number one, time has to pass by. I don't see the Jets giving up on him this week or next week. Right, like, midway through the Panthers joint practice, we're getting an update that Becton is being traded elsewhere. I think they're going to give him enough time to kind of ramp up to get 100% healthy and then see where he's at. Because if he gets to 100% and he's having to come off the field and he can't last the 20 snaps in a preseason game and he's fully good to go, then it's a bit concerning. Now, granted, again, he didn't get hurt. It was more of a precautionary measure. It's the Hall of Fame game. Do not risk your health, potential lower body injury, again, 3rd straight year, in the Hall of Fame game. That makes 0 sense. Just play it safe. So that's the first thing, right? I think time has to pass. Number 2, the Jets also have to have another option at tackle. Maybe somebody doesn't make the team elsewhere. Maybe somebody gets waived. Maybe a bigger name hits the open market, like via trade block, because another team has somebody emerging onto the scene that could definitely play out. And there is a couple teams, 2 teams specifically, that stand out in that direction. We're going to talk about that in that other video about just potential options. And then third, I think a good return is necessary. Look, I'm not talking about a 2nd-round pick or a 3rd-round pick for Mekhi, but I think the Jets should, if they're in the market of trading Mekhi Becton away at a position that we're already pretty thin at, I do not want a Denzel Mims package in return, right? Where if he makes the team, we get like a conditional late round pick, a future conditional late round pick. I don't want to be in that camp, right? Because for the amount of time that Mekhi has missed and all these different red flags, he's still, if healthy, right? If he could just duplicate what he did his rookie season, he could be a team's go-to starting left tackle. Those 3 things in my mind need to happen. I just have a hard time envisioning Joe Douglas looking at the roster and saying, okay, Dwayne Brown's not practicing, hasn't had a single rep in training camp, and we're already a couple weeks in, about to play the first preseason game. And by the way, Dwayne Brown is a veteran, kind of like he could have retired. There was a lot of speculation that Dwayne Brown could have retired this offseason and nobody would have gave him a hard time, right? It's a decision that he made to come back, and that's awesome. But for Joe Douglas to be looking at this roster, understanding how important the tackle position is, Dwayne Brown's not practicing, we don't have a solidified right tackle, let's go trade Mekhi Becton away right now before we have a replacement for a bad trade offer, right? Like not enough compensation. To me, it just doesn't make sense at this point in time. Now, if the Jets go out and sign, a tackle to come in and somebody who's expected to start, then it's like, all right, hold on a second. Now we're looking at 6 offensive tackles. Who's the odd man out? Max Mitchell and Carter Warren are on cheap rookie contracts. They're not just going to be outright released. Dwayne Brown is, the projected starting LT as of right now. And then Billy Turner has that positional versatility. Hey, you need, I can play right guard, left tackle, right tackle, like experience with Hackett, experience blocking for Rodgers. So, who's the odd man out? It does kind of feel like it's Becton in that regard when you look at it through that lens. So I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section on it. Such a tricky situation, tricky, unfortunate. I mean, there's a lot of adjectives that you can kind of use when describing this whole trade idea with Mekhi Becton. But I do find it interesting that we have multiple reporters here literally thinking that in their opinion, Becton will be on a new team next season. So let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.